Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. Joining me as always, David. Welcome, David.
Hello.
Welcome, Sean.
Hello, my friend.
Let's talk about the future of Star Wars. Initially, I wasn't excited about Andor, and now I am very excited about Andor. And I like the angle, covert ops, a spy element. This series was rumored way back when, and filming has already begun. Watched an interview with Diego Luna. I've also heard since Investor Day that K2SO will be back. What say you guys?
Diego Luna is a great actor, and I enjoyed his character in the movie. But when it first was announced, I was lukewarm on it. I was like, yeah, it could be good if they do it right and blah blah blah. After having seen the sizzle reel thing, I am very excited for this show. I mean, the fact that you have the full Lucas production staff, including Neil Scanlon, the alien effects designer, and all those people, and they were showing sets and costumes, and they were talking about named characters and extras and things like that. The thing that really got me the most excited is, we have seen a run of very negative press from Star Wars actors who are, complaining about how they were treated and complaining about the fans and complaining about Star Wars in general and complaining about how they did a Star Wars movie and how they can't get other movies and all this stuff. To see Diego Luna's interview, talk about a guy who's really fired up about being in Star Wars. Here's a dude who gets it. He has taken ownership of his character, and he wants to build on what he has done before in that role. If it's done as a good spy thriller, it could be really fantastic.
I saw the same interview that you did, Jeff, and he was super excited about the series. And he's so down to earth. You can't help but like him. So I'm rooting for this series. I love the great actors in this, and George Lucas actually has a writing credit for episode 1 of this series. And then one of the names that popped out at me was Tony Gilroy and his association with the Bourne series. He actually did the screenplay for Rogue One. This thing is 1B to my a Kenobi series. It's got a lot of potential.
The time frame is 5 years before Rogue One, so we're deep into the Imperial era. Rebel intelligence is probably a sketchy operation at best. It's exciting. I think Absolutely. We're all in agreement.
I can't wait to see more K2SO.
I think we are already going to have K2SO as part of the group, but I don't want to see the origin story of their relationship. But bring in Saul Guerrero, and I do want Ephes Nest.
We might experience the dismantling of Jeddah. We could go deeper into the Holy City's place in the galaxy and see it before the Empire takes it apart piece by piece, removes all the Kyber crystals, but that could be an angle as well that might be interesting.
Reports say that Cassian Andor is going to be actually 12 episodes, but it will debut in 2022.
So then what time of year is this show going to be released in 2022? What's the plan for the releases? Like, are we going to have overlap? Are there going to be times of the year when we have 2 shows dropping in the same week?
I think the goal is to have at least one new Star Wars show per quarter, not to overlap, but to force Star Wars fans to subscribe to Disney Plus all year round. Never drop their subscription.
Interesting. It's also interesting that they haven't started yet. Or they've started, but they haven't. Clearly, they're not as far in as we thought they were. Based on the sizzle reel we got, they have full sets built. They have hundreds of costumes. They have all the previs, all the production art. They're shooting, yeah, but the show was announced in 2017?
2018, I believe. Still 2 years ago.
Was this when they first started talking about the Disney Plus concept? Is when they announced that? Disney Plus came online in 2018, right?
Tail end of 2017, Bob Iger was hinting that there would be Star Wars series in the works, and early 2018, February, he mentioned Andor.
Basically, it's going to be 4 years of development, filming, and then release.
It'll be 6 years after the Rogue One film, yes.
The Mandalorian didn't get that much lead time.
They talked about the set that they built in California for Mando. They now have 3 of those. They've got one in England, one in California, and one in Australia. There's no problem with filming multiple series at the same time, so it's not going to take as long in post-production.
I think they were worried. I think that they were very shy in the marketplace after what happened, after The Last Jedi. So they need to sit down and reset, and they need to think about some things, because if you're going to have, what did we announce? 8 shows, 10 shows, including extensions of current stuff, like more seasons of The Mandalorian. There's got to be some kind of merchandise surrounding the stuff. You can't do it twice a year. And I know that Hasbro puts out waves of stuff, but if you're going to be at a point now where you've got 5 or 6 consecutively running shows, there's going to be overlap.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, I don't know much about
What do we know about that? Yeah. Because it's me, I have opinions, but I want to know, what do we actually know about this?
Cara Dune is now a Republic Ranger, or a Ranger of the New Republic. We know the time frame is roughly 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, but that's it. That's all we know.
They've announced a show, they've given us no details other than a general time frame. We've teased it. Okay, this show is supposed to be the Cara Dune spin-off show. The problem is there's all of this controversy off screen about the actress who portrays her. Disney just announced today that if she apologizes for her choice of beep, bop, boop as her preferred pronouns, then she gets the show.
I really hope she does not back down. She feels what she feels, and she has the right. I'm not condoning it in by any means, but I don't like it when people strong arm you to make you do something. It's almost a form of bullying. But I am concerned with her being able to carry an entire show on her back being the lead.
It's Rangers plural. So I foresee it being some kind of ensemble show. It might be 3 or 4 people. Walker, Texas Ranger meets sci-fi. It's, you pick it. Pick your trope, right? It's Wild West. It's Town Sheriff. I almost feel like these shows, we're going to see a lot of cross-pollination. We're going to see different crossover things. So we're going to see Ranger Dune in Mandalorian. We're going to see Mandalorian and Ranger Dune. Why not have Grief Karga show up from time to time? But it runs the risk of being overcomplicated and too convoluted. Like, do I have to watch season 3 of Mandalorian to understand episode 5 of season 1 of the Rangers? Like that kind of stuff. It winds up becoming the DC Comics crossover bonanza of the 1990s, where you got to buy 500 issues of a comic just to tell one story.
And that's actually what they did announce, Sean, that they were going to do a crossover event. Just be ready.
It could be good. Depends on, again, who we get to write it, direct it. Gina as an actress, and she's been getting better over the course. I mean, she was never bad. Let's just start with that. She was not bad. She's getting better over the course of the Mandalorian series, and I think that she could really, become something special. And there's just all kinds of great stuff there. I mean, it's a rich mine for storytelling.
This series could definitely lead us into First Order territory, because the New Republic will ultimately be wiped out by the First Order, so could potentially move into the sequel series if that's a road they really want to go down. Start developing the First Order through that series.
Yeah, all these shows you could get them to start laying the foundation for the sequel trilogy, but there's been enough subtle redirection or shots taken at the sequel trilogy, over the course of the Mandalorian already, that maybe the big crossover event is building up to a reset where we can restart the sequel trilogy or do something completely different from the sequel trilogy.
Will Cobb Vanth become a Ranger?
That's one way to put him in there. I mean, you're a big fan of Oliphant. Why not?
Well, he's already a marshal. I mean, and Cara Dune's a marshal, and there's a through line there.
Well, Favreau and Filoni have earned our trust. Rangers of the New Republic will cross over with The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, which we'll talk about in a moment, for a culminating event.
Those three I'm okay with. We already have Ahsoka in this timeline. We already have Cara Dune, and Mando's doing his things. But take your time, don't rush it.
It's easy to feel a little overwhelmed. Maybe there's too much and you might be forcing some crossovers, but we have 3 shows working together. The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, and Ahsoka all coming to you from the same creative team. I'm optimistic that the crossover piece will go well. And that brings us to Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson, she'll have her own show. There was some controversy around the concluding montage of the animated show Rebels. I'm trusting Favreau and Filoni. It'll become clear where we stand on the timeline. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Where are we going with the series? Someone had said that the logo is drawn from the Veil of the Force, the world between worlds, and there's speculation that this is how Disney will create an alternate timeline, which then becomes the primary timeline to do away with or diminish the sequel trilogy.
We ended Rebels with Thrawn and Ezra and the whale creatures. What really happened to Thrawn? And find Ezra, go save the day. Let's have our own little Star Wars universe that's away from the Republic and away from the Empire. Or bring all the rest of the crew of the Ghost in and keep going with the Rebel story, because that was a great series, and I would really like to see it continue.
I thought Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka was fantastic. Like a lot of people, first introduced to her in the Clone Wars movie, hated her guts, and then over the series, the TV show, really began to appreciate her and enjoy her as a character, and really wound up being an enthusiast. I love that they brought her back in Rebels. I will say that I was slightly disappointed that Ashley Eckstein's voice wasn't used, because that's been the only voice we've had up to this point for the character of Ahsoka. The logo for the show is very evocative of the imagery used in the world between worlds, and that frightens me because it felt like a device in order to bring Ahsoka back from her duel with Vader. You know, we saw, like you say, the montage at the end of Rebels, where it looks like Sabine and Ahsoka are leaving to go search for Ezra, and by extension Thrawn. But she's asking people where Thrawn is as if he's back, or at least he's nearby. And I hope that we do get to see Thrawn at some point in live action, because that is a character that I'm even more enthusiastic about.
Thrawn will be the villain for the culminating event. Does that seem likely? Can we all agree on that point?
For all 3, I don't know. I think the Emperor still plays a part in Mando.
David, these shows are going to remind us that the Emperor is dead. He was thrown down a shaft in the second Death Star.
But why else are we trying to clone things?
A little Grogu juice for everybody.
Exactly.
I'm reaching here, but I would point out that there is a clone Jedi in the original Thrawn trilogy.
That is
Absolutely.
true. Yeah, no, so are they trying to clone Jedi to create their own Jedi army?
I'm not sure. I think the vision for Moff Gideon and for Thrawn as well is the recognition that they need a Force user to lead them.
Can I go out on a limb here?
Go ahead.
If we are to accept the possibility of there being a great reset and the sequel trilogy being gently forgotten and put into the Disney vaults for a long time, maybe we are setting this up to do the Thrawn novels, the original Thrawn novels, or a version of the original Thrawn novels as the actual sequel trilogy. You've got Thrawn and Ezra out in the void. This is where Thrawn discovers what are they called?
I think it's pronounced Salmiri, but
or Salmiri. So I don't even know. I read the books. I never heard the audio, so I don't know how it's pronounced. But anyway, it's very clear in the original Thrawn novels that the reason why the Empire was so successful is because the Emperor was doing some low-grade mind control or force controlling them from behind the scenes. He could get his military to operate in lockstep with great precision and have these, tremendous victories because he was sort of controlling them from behind the scenes. So let's say that, Thrawn, like you say, he's got this idea that maybe he can either clone the Emperor or clone a Jedi that he can control and use his lizard friends to protect himself, and he can be the man behind the throne, just like in the book.
Yeah, the new Thrawn novels make it seem less likely, but that thought crossed my mind as well. Our conversation about the future of Star Wars has come to an end. Thank you, as always, to David.
No problem. Always here to help.
And Sean.
I have spoken.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is a registered trademark, and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.